get a little scatterbrained on it. But now let's talk about, we worked front blade, key points perpendicular to our opponent, key point, hand goes past the frame. Through the shot, hand comes over here, up, hand goes outside the frame, frees up the elbow to travel the full distance for power. Now we're going to start talking about wraps. I've seen a dozen different ways to teach a wrap, and if any of you guys have attempted to teach a brand new fighter how to throw a wrap, it's super irritating because it doesn't make any sense until it does clicks the first time. So I like to teach from close. Actually, Duke Sean does a method where he allows the sword to fly, and you feel the width of the elbow as it comes in front of you. So I like to start with full wraps. When we full wrap, we retain shape. My wrist is rigid. It's a rigid wrist. The rotation of the blade happens at the end position. It's not my wrist coming wide like this. It is my arm moving through, wrist staying rigid, and elbow turning over. So wrist is rigid, wrist is rigid, wrist is rigid. Okay. When your wrist stays rigid, you can throw full wraps. Now, our variety of the flat wrap becomes significantly easier to pitch. And I say pitch because that's what it feels like. A rigid shape is going to transfer force significantly better than a non-rigid shape. Right? It would be the difference between hitting somebody with a pool noodle and hitting somebody with a stick. The rigid shape that we transfer the force of our body through is the shape that we create with our arm. The less rigid of a shape my arm is, the more power that is going to bleed off through the shot. The more rigid the shape is, as my shoulder moves forward and delivers the weight and force of the blow, the more rigid my shape, the more powerful the shot. So, something that's kind of incorrect, something I've been trying to work on, is I'm landing about 3/4 blade, really accentuate turning your wrist. And if you look, I am beginning back blade, it's traveling through the arc of my blow, and it ends back blade. There's no front blade to back blade, it is back blade to back blade. So, something I like to do when you wear out your 1 through 6 drill, on your onside shots, feel free to throw wraps, and focus on, as it becomes weightless, transitioning to your next shot. Perhaps a shape required, throw a wrap, shape required, throw a wrap, shape required, throw across. Now, pretty easy. Everybody in this chat should have a pretty good idea of what wraps look like. What is difficult to do is to throw wraps from close. Just as much as throwing front blade from close is difficult, wraps seem to be even more so. There's two schools of thought, and you should use both of these interchangeably depending on the situation. So, what do I need to connect with my opponent? I need sufficient space, and I need the point on the blade that I want to hit them. If I throw something and it is close to my hand, there's very little kinetic transfer. Step number 1, a shove, which now frees up this leg to pivot out. I'm still putting pressure. I've created the space. Now my hand can fly free. Throw under the wrap. Something we worked on last weekend is that isn't always possible and it isn't always necessary. So this doesn't count because my hand is too close to my opponent. So instead what you can do is you can pull your hand behind your frame and as long as my hand's back here and the sweet spot of my sword connects with my opponent, that's still a callable blow. Interchange. Shove, step out. Shove, step out. Or stand close, frame comes back, hand ends.